still remember the first time I saw Daniel. It was late spring, and he had this warm, crooked smile that made everything around him feel a little softer. We were both 23, still figuring out who we wanted to become, and we spent our afternoons wandering through the old botanical garden near my apartment, talking about everything and nothing. Our dreams, our fears, the silly little jokes that made us laugh until our stomachs hurt. Daniel loved photography. He always had his camera slung over his shoulder, chasing the perfect light. I loved writing, and I'd read him pieces of the stories I was working on while we sat on the grass. Life felt full. It felt like it was finally going right. And there was Rachel, my closest friend since we were kids in the same neighborhood. She was always around, always cracking jokes, always laughing a little too loud. I thought she was happy for me. I didn't see what was underneath. Rachel was jealous. She never said it out loud, not once, but I felt it in small ways, the way her smile would tighten whenever Daniel and I held hands, the way she'd change the subject when I talked about him too much. At first, it was nothing. Little comments here and there. She'd tease me in front of Daniel, saying things like, "She never remembers anything, you'll have to keep reminding her." Daniel would laugh it off, but I could see something shift behind his eyes. I didn't worry, though. Rachel was my best friend. I trusted her completely. One afternoon, we'd planned to meet at the pier, our favorite spot to watch the sunset. But when I got there, Daniel wasn't waiting for me, Rachel was, standing there with an unusually serious look on her face. "Daniel's upset with you," she said. My stomach dropped. "Why?" I asked, completely lost. She just shrugged. "He feels like you don't really listen to him." I couldn't wrap my head around it. I always listened. We talked every single day. I called him immediately, but he didn't pick up. The next day, something in him had changed. He was quieter, distant, his smile smaller than I remembered. When I asked if something was wrong, he only said, "It's nothing." But I could feel that it wasn't nothing at all. Days passed, and Daniel kept pulling further away. He stopped laughing at the things I said. His replies to my texts came slower, shorter. When we were together, he'd stare at his phone more than he'd look at me. Something was slipping through my fingers, and I couldn't understand what. Then one night, Rachel sent me a message. "Daniel thinks you don't actually care about his feelings." I stared at those words, stunned. How could he think that? He mattered to me more than almost anything. Doubt started creeping in. Maybe I had done something wrong. Maybe Rachel was right. Daniel and I still spent time together, but it wasn't the same anymore. He smiled less, and whenever I asked if something was bothering him, he just shook his head. It felt like a wall was slowly rising between us, brick by brick. Rachel was always there, always watching. She kept up her jokes, kept up the laughter, but something about it started to feel off to me. Every time Daniel looked upset, she was the one who comforted him. Every time I tried to fix things, she told me to wait, to give him space, that he just needed time. One evening, I saw them together in the park, sitting on a bench, talking quietly. Daniel looked troubled, and Rachel looked unusually serious. I wanted to walk over, but something held me back. I told myself it was nothing, that Rachel was just trying to help. But deep down, I wasn't so sure anymore. That night, Daniel texted me, "I think we need a break." My heart sank straight through the floor. I read those words again and again, hoping I'd misunderstood, but they stayed exactly the same. I wanted to ask why, but I didn't even know where to start. I sat alone in my room for hours, trying to figure out what I'd done, what had changed. We had been so happy. Where did it all go wrong? The next day, I saw Rachel. She looked at me with something like pity in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said. "Daniel just needs something different right now." Her words cut through me like glass. I wanted to believe her, but something inside kept whispering that this wasn't the whole story. I tried reaching out to Daniel again, but he stayed distant, answering in short, flat replies, avoiding my eyes whenever we crossed paths. It felt like he was slipping through my hands, and I had no idea how to hold on. The days blurred together, and I felt completely lost, wandering through my own life on autopilot. I wanted to believe it was just a misunderstanding, that we could still fix it, but somewhere in the back of my mind, a small voice kept telling me that someone else had already made this decision for us. I spent days replaying every memory with Daniel, the long walks, the quiet conversations, the way he used to laugh at my terrible jokes. It felt like another lifetime, one that was quietly slipping away from me. I wanted to reach out, but every time I picked up my phone, I hesitated. What if he didn't want to talk? What if I only made it worse? Rachel stayed close through it all, always offering comforting words. "Just give him time," she'd say. If it's meant to happen, he'll come back. Her words sounded gentle enough, but there was something different in her eyes now. I wanted to trust her, but a quiet voice inside me kept telling me to be careful. One night, I finally gathered the courage to call Daniel. He answered, his voice calm but tired. "Hey," he said. I took a breath. "Daniel, can we talk? I just want to understand." Silence stretched between us. Then he sighed. "I don't know, things just don't feel the same anymore." His words hit me like a wave crashing over my head. I wanted to ask why, to tell him we could fix it, but his voice felt so far away. It was clear he had already made up his mind. The next day, I saw Daniel and Rachel together again. They were sitting close, whispering, and I watched from a distance. Daniel smiled at something Rachel said, a small smile, but it hurt more than I expected. I wanted to believe it meant nothing, that Rachel was only being a good friend, but the doubt kept building inside me. Why was she always there, right in the middle of everything? Why did Daniel trust her more than he trusted me? That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the two of them together. Rachel had been quietly pulling Daniel away from me, planting seeds of doubt in his mind, and I hadn't done a single thing to stop it. I had let her stay close, let her whisper her lies, and now it felt like I'd lost everything. I knew I needed to confront her, but what would she say? She'd lie. She'd act innocent. Part of me wanted proof, something solid to show Daniel, but deep down I knew proof wouldn't matter. He already believed her. The next day I saw them at the coffee shop. I didn't go over. Instead, I sat nearby, pretending not to notice them. That's when I heard it. Rachel was speaking low to Daniel, saying she never really understood you. Something in me snapped. This was how she'd done it, one lie at a time. I stood up and walked toward them. "Daniel," I said, "I need to ask you something." He looked up, startled, and Rachel quickly tried to change the subject, but I ignored her and turned to him. "Have I ever once made you feel like you didn't matter to me?" He hesitated, opened his mouth, then said nothing. Rachel laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. "Come on, let's not do this here." But I kept going. "Every time you doubted me, who was standing there telling you I was wrong, who always had the perfect words ready?" Daniel looked at her, then at me, his mind racing. For the first time, I saw real doubt in his eyes. He turned to Rachel. "You just wanted me to doubt her." Rachel said nothing. She stared at the table, unable to defend herself. I could see the truth finally landing on Daniel. He turned to her, his voice firmer now. "You did this." Rachel stayed silent. Finally, Daniel stood up. "I need time to think," he said, and with that, he walked away. Rachel didn't say a word. She just sat there, staring at the table, her hands clenched into fists. That's when I understood she had lost control of her own plan. But I didn't feel like I'd won anything. I had lost too much already. Days passed, and Daniel never called. I told myself to be patient, that he needed space. But the doubt never left me. I had lost him, maybe for good. It was too late. I don't know what the future holds, but I learned something important that year. Some friends aren't really friends at all. Sometimes the people standing closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most.